Houston, Texas covers over 600 flat, hot square miles in the heart of Harris County. Southeast of the city is NASA in suburban Clear Lake. Nearby is the Hilton Hotel, where on the night of July 24th, 2002, a steady stream of guests was passing through the lobby. One of them was John Tyler.
I was actually at a Wednesday night Bible study from a local church. We were meeting in the harbor room of the hotel. Church ended roughly at 8:30 that evening, and after church, there were a couple of friends there that wanted to see my automobile, because I just picked one up. So I pulled my car right in front. As I started to pull out, I heard a scream. I slammed the car into the park and ran inside.
Tyler saw a man, later identified as orthodontist David Harris, and a teenage girl, Harris's daughter Lindsay, trying to separate two women fighting in the lobby. One woman had grabbed hold of the other one's hair.
Clara was slugging her at least 2 or 3 times really good with a closed fist in the side of the head. She was screaming. At one point, they had pulled her away, and she made an announcement to the entire lobby. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here tonight because this is Dr. David Harris, and he's effing his secretary. You're totally in shock. You're like, what have I walked into here?
The woman on the attack was David Harris's wife, a 44-year-old Colombian-born dentist named Clara Harris. The other woman was David Harris's secretary, Gail Bridges.
At one point, she had reached in and just ripped the front end of her shirt out. And Gail Bridges, of course, is covering herself with one hand and holding on to what remains of her shirt. With the other hand, her purses hit the floor and everything's scattered. Clara is not letting go. I reached in right above Clara's hands and started pulling like this. And I was probably this close to her face at that point. And this was a woman with a beet red face, very angry.
Moments later, Hilton employees intervened.
The last thing I remember before they were going to get everybody out, Lindsay had a little purse, and she was hitting her dad in the back with a purse, and she was screaming, "I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you."
One of the hotel employees walked David and Gail to Gail's Lincoln Navigator, parked in back. Another employee walked Clara and Lindsay to Clara's Mercedes, parked in front. Lindsay got on the passenger side. Clara took the wheel.
I heard an engine revving, and then I saw it back up and then tear out of the parking spot and make a very fast turn. It was squealing tires. And these security officers, at least 2 of them, were banging on the car doors, and they're going, "Stop, stop." And your feelings are, my gosh, this family was ending, and we were all going to have to watch it.
Okay, episode 3. Let's do intros really, really quick. Go ahead and hit it, sister.
Hi, I'm Elena.
What was that?
Wow, hi.
I'm Mom.
It's a medical issue.
You just made fun of her medical issue.
Mother. That's okay.
That's. But I was supposed to have my phrase ready.
Okay.
And I didn't.
Let's
so
start
here we
over.
go. No, it's fine. Okay, so you obviously introduced yourself as Mom because that's what you are, right?
Right. Right.
And here's the thing about Mom. She's a whole lot of sunshine with a little bit of hurricane. Wouldn't you say that, Fitz?
Amen, sister.
That was like the most awkward we've ever done, ever. Podcast. But anyway, my name is Sherry. This is Outline of a Murder. And so this case, we actually have a female assailant.
Oh.
Yes.
Is this our first?
No, we had one last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, obviously statistically, probably females are less inclined, to murder. So I always like to at least have one if I can find one. And I think this is going to be a good one.
We might have had two. We did Betty.
That was a bonus episode, not a seasonal. Yeah, Betty Broderick was. But now, before we get started, we have a drink this time because this is a whole new episode. And so, Elena, would you like to share what the name of this is?
There is no name that I know of. I just glanced right past that part. It's okay, Mom, you'll survive.
This is the third one.
So, right, correct, third drink. So, it's Prosecco, sugar, and hibiscus flower juice.
I meant third drink with no name.
We're ignoring that. Continue on, try
Yes,
it.
okay. Here we go. Taste test. Where are you going? Where are you going? Are you? But we're doing a podcast, and you're walking to the trash can.
Of course,
Well, I
she's
figured
cleaning.
You would drink. I had to take the straw out.
I can taste the hibiscus.
I can too.
I love hibiscus.
I like this one.
Is this the same champagne that's been in all three?
Yeah, we got to find you guys different champagne
it's a
for
little
sure.
bit
I
tart for
think
sure.
it's champagne.
But no,
I
this one's-
personally love Prosecco
good.
and Brutes and Cavas, but y'all need a sweeter one for sure.
Yeah. So how do you rate this one, bartender?
3.
A 3? Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Well, maybe a 4.
I'm going to say a 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
I
is
think
one of my
it's
favorites.
The stuff you have in it, the combination.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So we obviously
Yeah.
like floral.
It doesn't taste as sour as the others. I
Right.
mean, you still can taste some, but not like.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Very good. Very good. Okay.
She was looking a little disappointed. She's waiting like.
Well, your face.
Okay. This case is nuts. I mean, crazy. And there are so many shocks and surprises in it. Like, to me, it's a little, I guess I shouldn't say it's a little bit lighter. I mean, murder is murder.
Yes.
But the first 2 episodes, the part 1 and 2 of Jason Bond, that it was just kind of like a downer case, because, and I think part of that is, she had so many, like she could have gotten away. And this one,
What I think about is from day one, he just had so many different. I mean.
oh
something
yeah,
right
just
after
the weird
other.
things. Yeah. But there are shocks and surprises. So I just had to do this one this season because it's fascinating. And it's another successful couple. It's a case of Clara Harris, actually a Houston dentist.
Yes.
So we're in the
I remember this.
the home state here, Texas. Now, she ran over her husband with her vehicle that was
With his
cheating on
daughter.
her. So like we talked about, crime of passion, right?
Right.
So I want to give you some background though on the like before the murder, and then we'll see some tips that we can offer our listeners. But this right here is Clara, and she's from Bogota, Colombia. So you got to say it like that, because if you say Colombia, we're talking about, a city in Ohio.
Right.
So it has to be
Right.
Colombia. Okay. And I've been there, Bogota. So that's where I learned that. So she was born February 3rd, 1958. And she was raised there with her mother, her widowed mother. And when I fell in love with the people in Bogota, they get in your personal space, which I'm not used to.
A lot of people do that.
Hang on,
though.
guys, what's happening here? But I went through it. Yeah, you could tell I'm a little bit nervous right now thinking about it.
Keeping space with your arms.
But that's what you had to do. But they are extremely loving, and like they welcome you in. So like it's like a hug. Now this is the infamous story where after I got done ministering all day, they're asking, do you want to go to the club? And I'm like, club? I mean,
What club?
What kind of, Christians are you guys? I mean, what do you mean club? Well, anyway, they take me to this 5-star hotel. And me and the lady that went with me, and I didn't know we were going to a 5-star hotel. So I had already changed out of my ministry clothes. So I'm wearing flip-flops, lounge pants, and my UFC tap-out hoodie, complete with the holes in the elbows.
Did they let you in?
From being, well, anyway.
Why would
So
you go out?
Oh, I didn't know. They're like, would you like to change clothes into something more comfortable? And then we'll. And I'm like, absolutely. So comfy to me is, you know. And so we pull up, and I'm like, and I'm looking around like, hey guys, I might be a little underdressed. And they're like, oh, no, won't be a problem at all. I'm like, I'm thinking it might be a problem. And they had like the bomb sniffing dogs. So when I was there, it's weird. Like you'd go to a place that was like McDonald's, and there would be armed machine gun people in the restaurant. I mean, it was crazy. Yeah. But anyway, so we get into the restaurant, and this is a place where you have to give your thumbprint to make sure, and dignitaries and presidents and kings and queens eat here. And here I am, the dumb American, wearing the flip-flops and the tap-out hoodie with holes in the arms.
They didn't have a gift shop or a store. Oh, my
So
Lord.
we get in the elevator, and I'm getting more anxious about the whole situation.
Are people looking at you?
So we go up into the elevator, after our cars make sure we don't have bombs. We go up into the elevator, and we enter in this like walled glass, fancy,
gorgeous,
everybody wearing a tie, and the waiter has a little towel on his arm.
They could have
And
told
Sherry's
you.
walking flip,
And he takes one look at me. No. And then I hear the phrase Americano or the word Americano. I'm like, yep, that's me, And they're like, no. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, if you just had like a McDonald's or something, just like a fast food. Oh no, we're gonna eat, right? So they had to take us down to the bowling alley. And they set up these plastic tables with plastic chairs. And these waiters with their little towels came down and served us. And then I further dismayed the fine people of Bogota, Colombia, by the minute he put my glass down my water, I snatched that water, opened it up, and poured it in my glass. And the waiters all...
It's a 5-star, even in the bowling alley.
with your tap out hoodie.
Yep.
Flip flops.
Yep, but the food was absolutely delicious.
But if
I
you're
mean, it was
going
top notch.
to a club, though,
I was like,
maybe.
yeah, I
can't even-
I wasn't warned.
I can't even
Shame on them. They
think
should have
about
told me.
it. Well, you should have known to go out to a club.
No, I had no
Don't
idea.
wear holy things with.
Well, I was already in the car.
Ready for the club, man.
I was already in the car. They're like, "Do you want to go to a club?" Because I thought we were going back to our where we were going to be staying. I had no idea what was going on. Anyway, but it's a jam-packed city. And what's weird is like you can walk down one street and it's high, rise, fancy schmancy, and then literally turn the corner and there's a homeless population. So that's how the streets are. Like you never know what part of the city you're going to get. And then also they can only drive their car like 2 or 3 days of the week because there's so much traffic, and they do not believe in stop signs. They're just suggestions. And I had the funnest time in cars. I mean, they zip around. You could see people like right there.
That's how it was in Italy. In Rome. It was terrible.
It's crazy. Now, my friend who was with me did not quite like the ride. I loved it. I thought it was great. But so this is where she grew up, in a very familial type, place. But also, the paradox of having the machine guns. And during that time, that was the height of the drug wars. Now Mexico is actually what Bogota used to be. So by the time I went there, they were actually safer than going to Mexico, and so it's definitely flipped. But
they
I'm
still
sure
have the cartel. And
they do, but
not as bad as
they
them.
had to actually hire paramilitary and government people to come in and clean up Colombia because the police. Colombia, because the police were in cahoots with the drug cartels. But it's, a beautiful and a dangerous, nation, I'm sure, when she was growing up as well. I don't know if she grew up in poverty or what, but I do know she wanted a better life for herself. And she studied dentistry there first, and then she came to the U.S. in the late 80s to continue her education at the University of Texas, Houston Dental Branch. So that's where she got her degree. She had thick red hair, a beautiful smile, and a little mole on her left cheek. And she's really pretty. And on top of that, she was crowned Miss Colombia, Houston, in a local beauty contest. So she's got brains, she's got beauty, and
she is beautiful.
This is her as she's aged.
I don't see the red hair.
Yeah.
Do you have a younger
yeah,
picture?
it's a little bit red.
Looks auburn. When she was younger.
There's that one.
I see more red there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she had some red.
It doesn't really matter,
Right.
but
Yeah. Now, Clara met David. So that's her husband, David Harris, in the picture in 1991. They were both in their early 30s. They were both working at the Castle Dental Center in Houston.
Wasn't he a dentist?
So he was ambitious and also brilliant. He was very, very smart. He graduated as an orthodontist, second in his class. He was charming, and some described him as being folksy.
folksy.
Oh.
Yeah,
Folksy.
so like a little Mayberry,
Yeah,
little.
yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
see it
yeah.
too. His favorite word was golly.
Oh,
Oh
word.
my gosh.
Golly.
That's so cute.
And he was smitten with her. When he met her, he was absolutely he fell in love. They married on Valentine's Day in 1992, and they hadn't even been dating a year. So here we are again, guys.
It's not saying, though,
You
that.
don't think your husband, if you only dated a few months, is going to kill you.
No.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
Right. But it wasn't a long time for them to really get to
Right.
know each other. Let's see. They hadn't been, I already read that. So they held their wedding reception at, now this is important, you'll want to remember the name of this hotel, Nassau Bay Hilton Hotel. And it's about 30 miles from downtown Houston. Okay. Clara told a reporter, because I guess their wedding was like local news, that I found the best. I found the one God reserved for me.
Aw.
Okay. So that's them. Their wedding day right there.
Gorgeous.
And then his daughter. So he had
Yeah.
a daughter from a previous relationship. And they had a really good relationship, her and Clara. They got along really well. Okay. They built a great life. They eventually, she opened her own dental practice in 1993. So that's what, a year later? Yeah, Valentine's Day. So a little
Right.
over a year probably.
Wow.
And then he had a chain of offices. She had photos of her and David in her office. She'd replace them every few months with new ones.
Oh.
She talked to David 2 to 3 times a day by phone. And she always said, I love you, before hanging up. No matter what she had to do at work, she always came home in time to cook. Clara and David's daughter from a separate marriage, that's Lindsay, got along very well, and Lindsay would stay with Clara and David in the summers. The couple also welcomed twin boys, and I couldn't find pictures of them, but it's Brian and Bradley. So in 1998, they had their boys. They lived in a $500,000 beautiful home in an upscale area called Friendswood, Texas. I've never heard of
Oh, I know where
Friendswood.
that is.
Okay.
Yeah. Susan's sister lived up that way.
And she always wanted a Mercedes from the time she was little. So she got her beloved Mercedes, which was a symbol of how far she'd come in her childhood, from her childhood in Bogota.
Do we know what class the Mercedes was?
No.
It's important.
yes.
It's a visual.
It depends.
No, but I do have a picture of it somewhere,
Okay,
I think, or a video. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a suburban.
No.
No, that's not it.
Anyway, it's not. Well, I mean, it's okay.
Yeah, I can't find it.
digress.
Yeah.
Okay. But, people, like, when they would see them together, they could see how much they loved each other. But, like most things, it's not always what it appears. Now, I heard you go, So what kind of stood out for you?
The 2 and 3 times a day.
Yeah.
That's a bit possessive, potentially insecure. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying I love you before
Right.
you end a conversation. We do that multiple times a day.
Yeah. But a little bit excessive.
The calls
Yeah.
got me, too. I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But you know what? That, to me, is sort of a sign of insecurity, which she was.
And we've talked about it in the last episode. I think it was, Noah is part 1 of the Jason Bond, that you cannot have your whole world be one person. And I think that's what happened. You can, where people say that you can love someone too much, I don't think actually you can love someone too much. What I think is that love has become twisted, where because of insecurity, because of rejection, a person will begin to tighten their hold on them where it comes off as love, calling 2 to 3 times a day, but it's actually not. It's actually born out of a fear. I saw that with a couple where I live, and they were it was almost like they were obsessed with each other. And I was like, man, that is not healthy. And sure enough, it was a disaster, and it was a control issue, and it was an insecurity issue. And initially the wife felt loved, very well loved, but then it became suffocating.
Yeah.
Right.
And I also wonder if it was to keep tabs.
Could be. It could be.
Sometimes you think it's cute and endearing because you're in that love butterfly mode. Mm-hmm. But as time goes on, it's obsessive behavior.
Yeah. And I don't think she ever let up. I mean, I think from the time that, she committed the crime that she was obsessed with the phone calls and all that. Mm-hmm. Now, okay, so everything seems fine. They have their twin boys. Lindsay's getting, along really well with Clara. Lindsay later said, we became very close. We went shopping a lot. She would tell me pretty much everything that was going on and make me feel a part of the family. Now, see, that bothers me too, because now you're bringing the stepdaughter into probably things that she doesn't need to know. So I couldn't tell, okay, is this that she's filling you in on how your brothers are doing and how the dad's doing and that's normal? Or is she trying to be like your best friend?
Yeah.
And that's not healthy.
Right.
Well, it's
know,
all
take it as
special
the
on her.
second.
Yeah, it was like her best friend. Apparently, she told her all sorts of things you wouldn't tell a child.
Inappropriate.
Yeah. So there's definitely no boundaries there. That's not healthy.
Right.
It appears that David, her dad, also shared what was going on by telling his daughter that he, quote, felt neglected by his wife after the birth of their twin boys 3 years earlier.
Why would you tell your child that?
Again, right.
I happen to know a father-daughter situation that they tell each other that stuff. I don't get it.
No,
I know a
I don't
daughter
either.
and mother.
It's not good. It's not good to do. And I don't know if Lindsay knew at that time. I don't think she knew until later that David was actually having an affair with his receptionist, Gail Bridges. And it started in the spring of 2002. Mm-hmm. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've got a picture.
So 2002, and when did she have the boys? 98?
98, yeah.
Okay.
So that's Gail Bridges with her
She
lawyer.
looks like his wife at that angle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. David confessed to the affair on July 17th, 2002. So they, in the spring, he starts the affair, and not long after, he tells
Interesting.
her.
And they were married how long at that point, did you say?
Well, they got married in 92, so it'd be about 10 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know, how did that come down? Did Clara suspect it? Did she catch them? Did she ask them straight up? Or did he feel bad and tell her? Because that's a big deal. How it's discovered. But they both decide, hey, let's repair the marriage. Let's stay together. Let's fix this. And so David told a friend, we're going to make it. We're going to get this resolved. And, whether he was, feeling needy because he was a crybaby, or whether it was legit that maybe she was giving a lot of her attention to her children, I don't know. But I do know that having children can really be difficult on a marriage.
Absolutely.
Even if you plan for them, you want them, the entire dynamic changes. Mm-hmm. So obviously you have on top of that twins. So lots of little sleep and all the stress that comes with newborns and things, I'm sure was probably stressful. Clara confronted Bridges, so she went over to Bridges at her husband's office and fired her the same day.
Excellent.
Yeah. And then during the same week, she went to a tanning salon, a beauty shop, joined a gym, and consulted with a plastic surgeon about some liposuction and breast implants.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's sad.
Because she thought it was her.
She thought it was her. She probably wasn't attractive anymore. She's carried 2 kids, the whole 9 yards. I don't know if he fed into that, but it's extremely sad that she felt the need to do that. But that's pretty typical with, relationships where there's affairs. Whoever was the one that was gone out on feels like they're ugly, not wanted. There must be something wrong with me. And so she definitely felt that way and tried to fix it. I don't remember if he told her he wanted those things. Do you?
He did. In the special, it showed he did. And then towards the end, when he, finally the breaking point, he'd tell her how unattractive that she was.
Okay, so the victim, I'm not really liking much at the time, or liking much right now. Not saying he deserved to be murdered,
Right.
but that's not cool to do.
And even if he didn't mean it, sometimes they say anyone has an affair, they'll say things like that. So you kick him out, or he has a reason to leave.
Oh, yeah, maybe. But then why stay? You told a friend
Because
they're going to work it out.
Some are cowards.
Yeah. That's
so-
pretty sorry.
Yeah.
Now, Lindsay, at this point, for sure knew what was going on. So she knows that her dad had an affair. She said that Clara had actually decided to retire so that she would have more time for her family, and that she was going to have plastic surgery to, quote, make herself look very pretty so Dad would want her and not Gail.
Damn.
Yeah. And Lindsay told Clara, just give it up.
How old was Lindsay? Do we know?
Probably a teenager, right?
She was
or a
young,
young
yeah,
adult.
she was
Give it
pretty a young
up.
adult.
So
Yeah.
what was she
But
observing
she was
and
married to her
hearing?
dad for a long time.
Yeah.
Just give it up.
So I, at this point, I don't know, why would she tell her to give it up? So if they're going to work it out, does she know her dad and that he's going to keep doing this?
Or she saw something.
Or she saw something.
Yeah.
Or she's like, hey, you're going way extreme.
Yeah.
That's not the way to solve this, you know?
Teenager.
Or that it was starting to break down already. So I don't know what the family dynamic was, but she's like, you're going way too far to keep him. 7 days after the confession, so July 24th, 2002, David told Clara that he wanted to take Bridges out to one last dinner to end things amicably.
Now, when did he tell the friend they were going to make it?
Well, obviously within 7 days, because he confessed July 17th, and by July 24th, he wants to take her out to that one last dinner. I would have been like,
Oh, the mistress.
Yeah.
Take her
Okay.
out.
And I'd be like, no,
No.
what's
Here,
up? And
I'll
I
help
think
pack your
she
bags.
suspected it, and yes, help pack the bags,
Yeah.
because obviously
Don't
something's
take her
going
out for
on.
one last
Right.
What case did we do? He or she took a vacation. One last vacation.
With the mistress?
Yeah. So he could tell her. Was it a case we saw? Or
I don't
something
remember.
watched?
Yeah.
He told his wife he was taking a vacation with the mistress for a week.
Oh, hell
Because he needed
no.
the time.
No.
You go
We'll
ahead
have
and you
to-
take as much time as you
Yeah.
need, bub.
We should look that case up, and she believed it.
That people are gullible. Don't believe, guys listening to this podcast, don't
Please
believe
don't
that
do
stuff.
that. Don't even believe. It's not even about believing. It's like, no, just no.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Right.
And don't tell
It's
your
unnecessary.
wife. But if you tell your wife that and she believes it, I mean, come on.
Right. Right.
But okay.
Now, Clara, she agreed. Okay.
Oh, my Lord.
That's fine. But she also secretly hired Blue Moon Investigations, a private detective agency, to surveil her husband's dinner and make sure he ended the relationship. Unfortunately, she received a devastating call telling her that David and Bridges were not talking at a restaurant, but were instead at the Nassau Bay Hilton,
Oh, hell no.
the same hotel where they got married.
And that they probably stayed at after their wedding. What? Sorry.
No, I'm like, what?
Wow.
A poop bird. And again, I hate to talk bad about the victim, but I'm going to have to be like the captain and just say stuff that might be offensive, on True Crime Garage. Y'all really need to listen to that.
Absolutely.
This guy, obviously something's wrong with him. It's like you take your mistress to the hotel where you had your wedding reception. What kind of person are you?
Yeah.
And so again, he doesn't deserve to be murdered, but I can see why she freaked out.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Okay. So, she gets a phone call.
Especially if you're told you're going to try and work it out.
Yeah. And then
But
you lie and arrange to meet
Okay.
the mistress.
So here's the thing, though. So for those that are listening, that if you're ever told that your spouse is going to have one final dinner, just say no.
Right.
Because you don't want to freak out.
Or
And-
vacation.
Run them over.
Vacation, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Like, just don't go down that road.
Right.
Just nip it in the bud.
Right.
Okay.
And here's the thing, if they ask for that, you probably need to go ahead and talk to a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Yeah.
Now I understand people can get emotionally connected with a mistress or some, guy they're dating outside their marriage or whatever. I can see that. But if you are serious about repairing your relationship, you don't go and have one last phone calls and stuff. That's time to go ahead and probably kick them out.
Yep.
Or dinner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, calls,
Or
dinner,
vacation. I know you're on the
text,
vacation thing.
don't care.
Yeah. Delete.
Now, before I get into the crime, I've got to give a little bit of background about Bridges, because this is one of the twists that's crazy. Okay. I personally don't have a high opinion of women that sleep with other people's husbands. Mm-mm. But David had actually told her that their marriage was open. Now, that doesn't make me think any better of her, because that's still creepy and weird. And I'm sorry, if y'all are swingers or have open marriages, you may not want to listen to this podcast.
Please don't listen.
But that's just gross. And 7 months after Clara's conviction, Bridges came out of seclusion. Like, she went into hiding.
People
she
hated
gave
her.
an interview and said that David had told her that he wanted to spend the rest of her life with her, and he did. That's what she said.
What now?
And
Say it
he
again?
did?
Yeah, because the last breath he took was with her.
Oh, yes, I see what you
And
what
she
you
said
mean.
that the affair was wrong, but she'd never regret having David in her life, even for a short time.
That's what her character is.
Yeah. And
Someone died over this. Some
But
child
it gets
lost
even
their
crazier.
father.
And I'm not sure what game, if any, David was playing. But here you have this woman that initially thought the marriage was open. She then claimed David wanted to spend the rest of his life with her, while she also knew that the affair was wrong. And I'm not saying that she deserved to die either, which she didn't, like David, but you're messing with someone else's spouse, and you never know how they'll respond. Like, even in the Bible, it talks about don't mess with someone else's spouse, because you might end up dead. I mean, that's like in Proverbs, if I'm not mistaken, or Deuteronomy. So it's like a big deal, because the passion of that, is, the grief of that is second to losing a child. The passion people can feel can make them go insane temporarily.
Absolutely.
That's why we have the crimes of passion defense. Okay. Now, during her interview, she refused to be video recorded or photographed, and she had good reason, because she had been accused of having an affair with her best friend, Julie Knight, in the 1990s.
A female? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Bridges had been married to a guy named Steve Bridges until divorce proceedings started in 1999. So she started dating David in 2002. Mm-hmm. He'd become suspicious of his soon-to-be ex-wife and friend when neighbors began coming to him asking why Gail and Julie spent so much time together while the husbands were away at work. Chuck Knight, Julie's husband, so this is the friend, became suspicious himself after watching Gail and Julie hugging and, quote, fondling each other when the couples went out to eat dinner together. Both of the marriages souring, Steve and Chuck suspected a lesbian affair. So Chuck hired Blue Moon Investigations, the same one, to watch the two women. Isn't that crazy? Okay, so the owner, her name is Bobby. She's a female.
Of Blue Moon?
Yeah.
Okay.
That he and Steve, they decided, would watch the children while Gail and her friend went out. They were going to go to like a shopping mall or something, and he wanted them followed. So she did. Nothing happened. They did exactly what they said. They went shopping at the mall, and then they got soft drinks at McDonald's before going home. Now, here's the thing. I think the husbands were trying to smear their reputations, actually. But if you're in a bad marriage, you'll probably spend a lot of time with your best friend. Or you might have someone that's, like a person in arms with you, that you can share what all is going on. Or, just to stay out of the house, you might be at the gym a lot, or you might go for a lot of walks or work more. So I don't know if they had an affair, but they were never able to get any proof. Mm-hmm. But it gets worse. So reporters discovered that Gail and Julie had appeared on the Sally Jesse Raphael show in 2001 wearing wigs and dark glasses to talk about their husband's attempt to say they were lesbians to divert attention from their own improper conduct.
Good Lord.
Why would they be on our show if they denied it?
And by the way, what neighbors would go to spouses and say, they're spending a lot of time together when you're at work? That was suspect.
Unless they were really good friends.
Or
still,
maybe they didn't say that and the husbands made it up.
Exactly. Yeah, neighbors wouldn't zone in on that.
I don't know if you had 3 guy friends, they would.
Yeah. If maybe they had a neighbor that was a friend and they hung out. Well, the already frenzied media attention over the Harris crime went into overdrive when the video cassette tape of that episode, My Husband Spies on Me, and they began to play it in sound bites on the local news show. They used a photo of her wearing a wig in an article and used headlines like "Bisexual Triangle Led to Car Slay of Hubby." Julie Knight said that it was madness. Later, Steve, who was still bitter about the divorce, used a tragedy in civil court to try to get his custody of the 3 kids. And then he also resurrected the lesbian claim. Chuck also tried the same thing with Julie, claiming that since they were still friends to that day, and Clara was out on bail, that his children were in danger.
Did either of the cases, did they win?
I don't know if they won or not, but that's just the first twist. Actually, maybe the second, because we got the Blue Moon. They must be a really good investigations office, because everybody seems to be using them.
I've heard of them before.
And then the lesbian.
Well, it's also a beer mall.
Oh, that might be it. Yeah, that might be it.
Which, by the way, I do recommend with a a orange wedge.
Okay. Now, the night of the crime, David used cash to purchase a hotel room under an assumed name. As they came back down, holding hands, enjoying each other after their little tryst of about an hour and a half, Clara and Lindsay were standing there in the lobby.
And the daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine? He probably almost crapped himself.
It gets better.
Yeah. So Bridges said that she saw a funny look come over David's face. So she didn't notice. Gail Bridges didn't notice that his wife and daughter are standing there. She was just looking at David. And she notices the weird look, so she looks over, and there is Clara and his stepdaughter. And witnesses didn't say if David tried to say anything to his daughter Clara, but Lindsay started hitting her dad with her purse, saying, "I hate you, I hate you, I hate you." Okay? Clara went after Bridges, and she lunged at her screaming, "You be, he's my husband." She slapped her, tore her shirt, actually tore it off, I think. She yelled for all to hear, "This is Dr. David Harris, and he's effing this woman right here." So hotel employees, they try to intervene, right? Like, hey, guys, obviously it's an, a upscale, hotel. But Clara's rage was growing. Like, she wasn't calming down. She kept attacking Gail. So finally, okay, and I think this might be the one that sent her over the edge, David put his hand on Clara's head and pushed her off.
Oh, boy.
I mean, to me, it's disrespect. I mean, the whole thing's disrespectful, but to...
Yeah, no.
That would probably make any anger I felt go through the roof, right?
Absolutely. Don't touch this area anyway.
No.
Yep. So now, but imagine the hurt. Okay, so you have a woman that obviously her whole life was centered around her husband, her career, and her children. She loved her husband so much that she changed the pictures out regularly in her office. She called 2 to 3 times a day. She has built a life that she loves with the man that she loves. And then he confesses to an affair, lies to her, and then pushes her away in front of the woman that he's sleeping with and disrespecting and shaming her in front of everybody.
And try to protect the woman and not her.
Yep. To me, it was like a perfect storm.
Yeah.
I don't see any other way it could have gone any other way, actually. Now, I'm not saying she did what was good. I'm just, her mental state, I'm not sure if she could have made a different decision at this point. Okay, so then the hotel employees come and they escort Bridges to her Lincoln Navigator that was parked in the hotel parking lot. And the police, or the employees, they thought they had everything ended. Okay, so she's in her car. They walked Clara and Lindsay back to Clara's Mercedes, her beloved Mercedes, located in another parking lot, and they asked them to leave. Clara started the car and sat there and stared at the couple. Now, what does that tell me? He walked her to her car. Yeah. Whew. So it's just like insult after insult. So again, don't run over people, but I have a little bit of understanding of why
Compassion.
she would have done that, you know. So she's just staring at them, and Lindsay said you could see her rage. It was all over her face. She then gunned the engine, raced toward the parking lot where the couple was standing, and tried to run both of them over.
Yep.
David pushed Bridges out of the way, and then he was propelled 25 feet across the lot. Lindsay started screaming, and witnesses saw her trying to open the door to get out.
Yeah.
And she'd like get her feet on the ground, and then she couldn't.
And it was obvious that she loved Lindsay very, very, very much. So she was not of sound mind when she did that. She wouldn't have done that to her, I don't think.
I'm not sure, but I do know that I would have second thoughts no matter what if Kent was with me.
Absolutely.
So I'm not sure, you know.
Well,
I don't know your mindset.
No,
you don't
yeah.
know, really.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I would probably think about Kent if he was with me, but not everybody, you know, but to me, it's like, I don't want to damage him. You know, if I was going to kill my husband for going out on me, I'd figure out another way to do it, not get caught.
Yeah, I'd probably just go after it.
Okay. So, Clara then turned the car around.
Yep.
And ran over his crumpled body. She then whipped it around again, accelerated, and ran over him a second time, then did another 180 and ran over him a third time before stopping.
Didn't she back up too?
Nope.
Someone else,
So
I think,
Lindsay
in a garage,
Yeah.
maybe.
got out of the car, rushed around to the driver's side, and punched Clara in the face. And then she later said she did so because she killed her dad right in front of her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She then collapsed and sobbed. Clara got out of the car dazed and confused. And she walked over to her husband and she was staring at him. And then she got him in her arms, begging him to breathe and said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I love you. Okay. Now this is, and I'm not going to put the microphone up to it, but, and it doesn't show anything disturbing, but this is her in the parking lot just going in circles, running over him. Now, the footage, the reason I'm showing this is, well, let me get to that in a second. Okay, so headlines went around the world. And prominent dentist, runs over orthodontist husband. I mean, that's kind of a big deal. She was called Clara the Driller Killer. Did an eye roll. One headline tagged her mad wife at will. She was released from jail on $30,000 bail.
That's it?
Yep. And she went into seclusion until her court appearance. Yeah. Which, again, I'm thinking maybe they had some sympathy for her.
Well,
I'm sure
but
they
here's
did.
the thing: if the roles were reversed, we probably wouldn't be as compassionate.
That was our discussion on the Betty Broderick. Because to me, Betty Broderick was a psychopath and a narcissist from the start. And I don't have any sympathy for what she did. I can feel how frustrated and powerless and helpless she would be because her whole life blew up after she helped him become the doctor and lawyer that he was, right? But there was evidence that she was psychopathic and that she had, what was it called? It was a disorder where she would go like into fits, high drama, crying, all kinds of stuff. I can't remember. Oh, histrionics. It's actually a disorder, histrionics disorder. So that was the discussion we were having. I'm like, if that was a man, no one would have felt sympathy, And so it's kind of like the same thing. If she was a male, no one would feel bad for the
and
man.
I thought different.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that, but I did have sympathy. And when I watched a special on her, I could just see how she was driven. I mean, he tortured her verbally.
Yeah.
And
Well,
used
she
his
did
pull
him
as
too,
a lawyer.
and the kids begged her to stop. We'll have to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
And the whole point of those episodes or bonus episodes is I wanted to know, was this a case of a scorned woman, or was she crazy from the start? And I found evidence that she was difficult from the start. But and so in this situation, I was trying to find that out as well. And I don't know if it's in my notes if I got to that point, but the $30,000 bail tells me they did not see that she was a danger or considered that she was a danger to society, that her crime was toward her husband and he was gone and that was it. So I think that's probably why it was such a low bail. Over a dozen photographers were there for pictures, and she sat in court between two friends wearing a stylish teal pantsuit, staring straight ahead and blinking back tears, and her wedding ring was still on her left hand. Now, some were on her side, as you can imagine, because they didn't blame her for killing her philandering husband. Gail Bridges wasn't popular either. Clara's lawyer, George Parnham, said it was rare to find her not weeping, like she was just crying all the time. She gained national attention when he represented her lawyer, Andrea Yates. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He said that Clara also had a rough time believing David was dead and not coming home. Friends spent the night with her at her home because they were afraid she was suicidal, and they said that her sons kept her going. And at this time, they were about to be 4. So,
Whoa. So she had her children?
Not with her. No, not when she killed him.
well, no, not when she killed him, but she had him after.
Custody. A lot of people felt bad for her. I remember that case when that happened. A lot of people felt bad for her.
Yeah, she had her
Because he did a
kids.
lot.
No.
I've even felt bad for her.
No. I get that. I absolutely
But
have
getting
compassion
your
for her.
kids,
Yes.
yeah.
But getting the kids, it should have probably waited.
Now, her trial began February 2003, and Lindsay testified against her stepmother. So this is her right there. And she later sued her for wrongful death, and she won.
Of course.
She said that she had told her to stop the vehicle because she was killing her dad. And she said that she was on a mission to find where David was and that she was livid. She said that she felt the bump as a car ran over her dad, and she testified that Clara ran over him 3 times.
The sad part is that her last words is, "I hate you," over and over.
Right. The defense said that Clara ran over David only once. But unfortunately, and here's the third twist, for Clara, the investigators, the
Blue
same
Moon.
ones that she hired, recorded everything. So that video I showed you of the car, that was the investigator. They were paid to surveil, and they were still there, and they recorded her running over her husband.
Are they not supposed to stop and try to help?
I don't know
call
how
police?
It was
Well, they
probably
might
too
have
late. They
done
might
that,
have called
but-
the police.
I mean, they're not going to step in front of a car, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they recorded everything. And the police also recorded her interview, and there she stated that she wanted to hurt her husband, so she didn't take advantage of you have the right to remain silent. The prosecution, though, did believe it was a crime of passion. They did believe that. Clara was advised not to take the stand, but she decided to do so. And when she was confronted with a portion of wanting to hurt her husband, and the prosecution conveniently leaving out the rest where she said, "But I didn't want to kill him," so they didn't have that in the video, her lawyer collapsed in the courtroom from stress, and they had to take him to the hospital.
Was that a true or just a move?
No, he was stressed. He was so stressed over that whole thing. So she was found guilty. She was sentenced to 20 years in prison. The jury found it a sudden passion, meaning that she could serve as little as 2 years or the full 20. She was fined $10,000. She was paroled. This is her at her parole hearing. And then this is her getting out with a big smile on her face.
Those are her kids?
I don't know who they are.
I'm sure.
I think that's Davis or David and the sons. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So she was paroled May 11th, 2018, and she'll remain on parole until next February of 2023. It probably wouldn't have happened, actually, her getting paroled, if her new lawyer hadn't brought the twin boys. So the new lawyer, to help her get paroled, brought her boys, who saw her faithfully every week. And they decided to go ahead, and they begged them, please parole her. They don't have a father, but they want to spend time with her mother. Now, this is the investigators. Listen to this.
15 years behind bars, Clara Harris is walking free tonight after murdering her cheating husband with her car. And today we're hearing from the private investigator she hired to catch her husband in the act.
While Harris may be out of prison, she's not exactly free. She was all smiles, though, as she walked out after serving 15 of her 20-year sentence. Now she's on parole until 2023, and she will wear an ankle monitor. A private investigator is sharing a taped phone conversation she had with Clara Harris 2 days after she killed her husband.
It is a recording few people have heard.
Matt Doherty is live in Clear Lake with the story tonight. Matt?
Okay, let me try this again, guys, with the dogs and everything.
Right.
Let's get back to our videotape here.
Forget to.
Okay. Take 3 on the video.
Alrighty.
Second people to listen to this ever.
The phone call you're about to hear was taped 15 years ago by private investigator Bobby Basha and her client, Clara Harris, the day after Harris posted bond.
We did tape record everything. As soon as we get that information, we can make that available to you and your attorney. Videotape? Yes, ma'am. We have everything, but we don't have it in our possession because of, the incident that occurred. So if you were there to the tragical part, the investigator did video everything because you hired us to video the subject.
In the phone call, Harris is clearly surprised the events were caught on tape, and she tries to learn exactly what was recorded.
There was a videotaping of them going into the hotel, and there was a videotaping of when the tragedy developed.
Harris sounds calm and unemotional during the conversation, and she doesn't offer an explanation for what happened.
Say, oh my gosh,
She didn't say it was an accident. No, she didn't say it was an accident. No, she didn't. She said, I went out there because I had to see for myself.
Maybe I upset you enough to where, you just lost it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Thank you. This has been horrible. Oh, I know. Are your twins okay? They are okay after this point.
But once again...
So that's, I don't know. To me, she had a little bit of surprise that everything was recorded. But what are you thinking?
I think she's still trying to process.
Maybe.
So, just off the top of my head, it's like, okay, I did this horrible thing, which she's, I think you had mentioned, she still doesn't quite understand it even afterwards. So it's like, okay, did I imagine this? Were they really going into the hotel?
So maybe she was wondering if, I don't know, it sounded to me like she's asking, okay, so you got them going into the hotel and you got the tragedy that developed?
Well, yeah, that was what she asked. So you think it was just to make sure that...
what exactly did you have? Well, and not only that, but, it's obviously it is a tragedy for her. And, the jury found her, in a sudden passion, guilty of that, but still they recognize it as sudden passion. But the fact that she said she only did it once. Now, that right there, so it says that she only ran over him one time. Did she think it was only once?
That's what I was going to say.
Or was she lying and saying it was only once when it was 3 and she didn't know they had it on video?
Or frame of mind, she thought it was one because when she asked, did you get the full when they walked in at the end, that could have been, hey, that'll prove that I'm...
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was only 2 days afterwards. Mm-hmm. So when did they interview her? Immediately, when supposedly she only did it once, or when she said that?
Yeah, and then why would the lawyers, though, then say she only ran over him one time? And why would she say that she ran over him one time when the video clearly shows her running over him 3 times?
Well, maybe she really thought it was one, told the lawyer once, and then the tape came out.
And now we have the birds.
Oh.
Anyway, let's finish this. Yeah. Let's wrap this up.
But this was impromptu.
Okay, right. So now this is crazy. Here's the final twist. Her in-laws supported her the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mildred Harris, David's mother, said, I love her very much. She's really more like a daughter. And even after hearing the prosecutor's case, they still supported her. They said they had forgiven her, and even in court said that the marriage was made in heaven. Mildred also said maybe she loved David too much. Initially, the boys went to live with them, but later they ended up living with family friends of Clara's. And I'm not sure if there was a falling out, but maybe they just thought it was best. I don't know. So, again, I think this case is probably one of, again, not loving so much that you lose your mind. Although the other thing is, it's happened to people that maybe didn't call as much and didn't, like other people have killed spouses that they caught, doing that. So I don't know. But what I do know is that instead of making each other better, one ended up getting ran over by the other. So that obviously wasn't good and it wasn't healthy. So I think for people that are listening to this podcast, the outline of this murder and maybe the lessons to take away is to make sure your entire life, all of your thoughts and everything you do is not so wrapped up in that one person that you lose yourself in them, to where if something happens, you feel at such a loss that the only response you have is running them over 3 times.
Yeah.
You know
But
what I mean?
I don't think that was her intention when she got there. The
To
more
run
she
them
looked
over.
at
I
him,
don't either.
the more they saw him, and he's loving to the other one after what
Walking
happened.
her out.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
When he put his hand on her head and pushed her
she's
away,
out of her mind.
I think that literally pushed her over the edge and she lost it. Now, the assistant DA, Mia Magnus, cited witness testimony that said Clara had lied about one of the twins being sick that day to persuade her husband to come home. Well, that's confusing because the timeline doesn't fit that story, and that also that she trespassed on Bridges' property, vandalized her Lincoln Navigator, and then assaulted her in the lobby. Lindsay, the daughter, also said that she could kill David, that she told her she could kill David and get away with it.
I don't know that I believe that.
true.
Yeah. I don't, the daughter is mad.
Yeah.
Or did she say that out of anger?
Right.
I could kill your father and get
She
away
was
with
furious.
it. So I don't know.
I don't know on that one.
So what do you think? I mean, obviously you're correct in that if she was a man, she would have been treated different. But obviously the jury felt that it was a sudden passion.
Oh,
I
I
think
agree.
so, too.
I absolutely agree.
But do you think if she was a man that they would have given sudden passion?
Nope.
No.
I don't know. I think they might have if
don't.
the circumstances were similar. Because they have done that before where men have gotten a lighter sentence because of sudden passion.
I feel like they would have made it his fault, meaning the affair his fault.
Probably.
Yeah, probably so.
Probably so.
But
yeah.
this crime of passion for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I just be known, I would do the same damn thing.
No, I wouldn't. I don't want to go to jail for
I wouldn't
anyone.
run
Oh, I
over
would.
someone, but
No, I wouldn't go to jail for anyone.
I'd be whipping
But you
stuff
just-
off. I'd be,
You just don't. Oh, beating the crap out of her, maybe.
no.
Oh.
who did that? Who cut off that
Bobbitt.
man's? Yeah, Bobbitt.
Bobbitt.
Yes.
Just call me Miss Bobbitt.
The Bobbitt procedure. Okay. Now, are we going to
got it.
remember?
I
Okay.
got it.
Oh,
We
you're
are
right.
down.
Great. Well,
Here we go. I can't wait for this
rubbing
part.
hands.
I was
and
thinking in my
perking
mind,
up.
don't get it wrong.
Okay, so here we go.
Be smart.
Be rude.
Don't be a victim. About damn time.
I was for sure thinking you were hesitating and going to say the wrong
I was
one.
psyching you out.
Outline of a Murder is a Mr. Joseph production. What do you think, Joseph?